All right, hey guys, here we are. Just want to pop this open, make sure that we're good. Does look good. Now, I am very worried about the, oh wow, this is only 186. Holy moly. This is a par 4. 186, you gotta be kidding me. This is brutal. I am not liking the looks of this. Man. So one of the biggest concerns that I have here, I can't tell if this hole's uphill. I can't tell if it's downhill. Obviously, we want to go for the green. Not knowing whether the game is uphill or downhill makes this shot extremely tough. You know, I'm thinking ultimately, you know, especially if we're going to do some kind of hook shot, I want to try to do a wood if I can. Biggest reason for that is that the iron is going to kind of really come in super low. It's going to be hard to get that 186 carry. I'm thinking if you need to slice it with a hook, 186, 2 iron at least, maybe a 1 iron. And you know, it's also going to be very tough to actually get that number to actually be dialed the way that you want, because the more that you hook it, the lower it's going to come in, kind of the shorter it's going to land. So, you know, when looking at this hole, I'm thinking the only way we can do it is really with a six wood. And what I'd like to do here is a javelin. However, if I do down 7 slope, I'm not going to be able to stop it. So it's not a good option. I almost need to go sniper or super backspin here. And super backspin is almost going to be a stop shot with a tailwind. It's essentially going to stop wherever it lands. So that's more or less kind of what I'm thinking about doing here. So one of the things that I might do is I might just, you know, first off, try to size this up. It looks like landing right around 200 is okay. You can see 200 allows me to land left. It allows me to land right. So I can really kind of safely, if I can dial up 200 yards, that's going to be ideal. And again, we probably could use a grabber, but with a tailwind, the thing that's going to happen if you use a grabber is the ball is going to continue to roll away from the hole. Now, you know, it might only be 5-10 feet, but when we're talking about landing at around 200 anyway, we're already giving ourselves almost a 50-foot putt. So do we want to use a grabber and potentially get 60, 70, or even overshoot and for it to turn 90, 100 and then into a way uphill, and then we can't get the ball to the hole? So we do got to be just a little bit cautious there. One of the things that I would probably do, to be honest with you, just to make this shot a little bit easier, is I typically might want to use a gold tee and kind of go over to the right. It would allow me to curl much less. Now, I'm thinking this is going to be kind of an isolated case where I don't do that. And one of the main reasons that I'm going to kind of stay away from that is because we have so much tailwind here. I think it's going to add so much yardage if I go gold tee. And I'm just going to have to lower the percentage so much. And it's going to be kind of a hassle to deal with. Now, the first thing that I want to think about, so I'm thinking B3 shot. It's kind of my initial thoughts for this shot. So I'm thinking B3. And with a B3, I'm maybe thinking a 6 wood lands. You know, I don't have this dialed in to kind of an exact science because there's too much to factor in to actually be correct on point. You know, elevation just plays such a key here. I can't tell if the hole's up or if it's kind of flat. But I'm thinking it could be just a little uphill. So I'm thinking maybe a 6 wood B3 shot typically rolls out to, or it's going to land maybe about 200, maybe 210-ish. So if it's going to typically land 210, we're going to have to come off of it. We also got to figure out the aim. So I'm thinking first off, it's not going to typically make it back to the start point, but I do have a little bit of left wind helping. So you'll see that the amount that I go over to the right here might not be very much, or to the left, might not be that much because the wind's going to help pull it back. So I'm thinking right around here, but it also looks like I can safely land to the right of the hole. I can't land safely to the left of the hole. So I do want to, you know, especially for this first attempt, I just want to be somewhat safe with my logic here. And this wind is going to allow the ball to land short, or it's going to allow it to land extra. So I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 220-ish with that wind. So I need to come off. Where do I feel comfortable landing? I feel, you know, right on maybe the 200 number. So if this is going to land in the 250 to 220, I need to at least come off. 5% is going to be about 12 yards. 7%, 8%, but I also want to make sure that in case my alignment's not right, that I don't try to hit it this first shot pin high. So I'm trying to be a little bit safer than sorry here. In the event that I am off on my calculations, I should still land into the green as opposed to landing in the water. So I do want to be a little bit safer. I do think, you know, pulling off 10% here is ideal, but I don't think I have the guts to actually do that because I'd have to make sure, not seeing a B3 shot ever played on this hole, that it would actually go and land where I'm kind of allowing this to aim. Like I'm not sure if it's going to make it back there or not. Now, one of the things that you'll see, if you pull down to the right like this, it's going to overhook. If you pull down to the left, it's going to underhook. So that is going to be a big influence as how your shot plays off. Typically on a shot like this, I'll try to kind of do maybe just a little bit of an over kind of intentionally to make sure that it actually bends a little bit harder around the bell tower here. So it's kind of like a safety measure. But again, you know, my initial lineup may not be perfect for a B3 shot. I just really don't know. So I'm just kind of guessing. Oh, I forgot that I said I was going to do 6-7% off. And again, you know, this is kind of intentionally going to be overplayed just because it's safer to land back there. And I'm really not sure. I'm not comfortable with if this is a perfect shot or not. But what you'll see is I try to exaggerate this, and I'm going to try to pull as sideways as possible. And I didn't quite go aggressive enough, and I didn't quite pull off enough. So, but it looks like I'm not in the water. But I'm just long, so I tried to land in the balk there. I should have took off 10, and 10 would have actually been perfect. But you can see that my alignment overall was pretty good because I was trying to get it kind of in the center, but as I mentioned, a little bit favored to the right because I could see that I had green to work with, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't cut myself off entirely. Now, with an upslope here, this is going to be a near impossible shot. What you'll typically see, especially towards Max Club, this is almost a straight javelin because this is going to have such high trajectory. You would essentially really run the risk of sending this into the water if you didn't try to go javelin here. And the ball's also going to land well short. So I'm thinking the ball would typically land maybe for this 38-yard shot, 34 would be my guess. And we're essentially going to have this almost come in sideways. So I'm almost going to crank into the wind. I'm almost going to crank this. I'm thinking definitely somewhere in between 95-100% with so much uphill. And this ball is basically going to bounce sideways. So I'm not taking off very much here, maybe 1% or 2%. And I also kind of got to rush through this a little bit because I'm at the 9-minute mark for this hole. There was a lot of discussion that I used, and even that's short. So we would have essentially needed to go up to the sand wedge. But what you'll see is that doesn't give the wind enough. If I would have not gone javelin there, there's a chance that, you know, the wind play, you would have needed to play so much that you might have just broke that off and accidentally hit it into the water. So I just wanted to be a little bit safe, especially for the first playthrough. As you can see, you know, that's going to be a little bit of a challenging hole, but now knowing the way that it just played out there, I feel a lot more comfortable trying to play that another time. So good luck there, guys, and I will see you guys on 18 momentarily.